Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. And thank you for joining us. Today is November 14th, 2021, to Jedi.Tax Online, November 14th, 2021. I'm your host, Rogelio Noriega. Once again, thank you for joining us. And oh, look, there I am. That must be me down there. So we're changing up things a little bit. Let me know what you think of what we're doing now. But I suppose we're getting a tad more sophisticated. I want to welcome everyone who's watching us both live and then later on in the archive. If you want to let us know who you are and where you hail from, we sure would appreciate your comment in the chat room. And once again, we thank you. We're going to be going in just a few moments. We have the PowerPoint presentation pretty much set up and ready to go. So I am absolutely and terribly excited about checking this one out. So we do have several people already watching us now, and it would be great if you let me know who it is that is watching right now. Just going to leave a comment, but we're going to get to it right now. I'm not sure the length of tonight's program, but I'm going to be talking about basically the good and bad of debit cards and versus credit cards. So if you don't mind, I'm going to see if I can get this to go now. And of course, and there it is. Okay, it did work. All right, tonight's program. What are they? And the good versus the bad of debit cards, prepaid cards, credit cards, cash cards, and gift cards. Generally, we're going to be talking about debit cards and credit cards, but I'm going to be giving you a definition of them and what they are. So hopefully we're going to be able to make this work. Once again, we have numerous people watching us today. I would love to know who you are and share your comments in the chat room. Of course, we have to put it out there, the Selena rule, which is basically our Jedi.Tax disclaimer. This is not rendering of advice. The information contained within this website and its production is provided for informational purposes only and is not intended to and must not be taken as a substitute for obtaining accounting, tax, legal, or other professional advice from a tax resolution professional, such as an enrolled agent, CPA, attorney, etc. Presentation of the information via the internet is not intended to create, and recipient does not constitute a tax professional client or attorney-client relationship. Internet subscribers, users, and online readers are advised not to act upon this information without seeking the service of a tax resolution professional. There's a lot in there. You're having problems, Michael, viewing it? I would need to be a little bit more specific. I believe it is small, the disclaimer, but that is about right, the legal disclaimer. Hopefully, we'll be able to see everything else. But we're going to start with some definitions. Money or currency, property, and wealth. We need to speak the same language. So we need to know that. And Brian, good evening. Thank you for the like. So the IRS has definitions for everything, and sometimes we get in trouble because we don't understand those definitions or terms. Currency. It's a system of money in general use in a particular country. Very simple. I'm not going to be talking about Bitcoin or any of the items right now, but it's generally accepted or in use. That's what currency is. Property. A thing or things belonging to someone, possessions, collectively. So the right to the possession, use, or disposal of something, basically ownership. And wealth, an abundance of valuable possessions or money. So we're going to be using those words interchangeably, and I see that there is a problem, that the writing is very small on these. So, all right, I did err right there. I'll see if I can make it work next time. But for everyone else, folks, if you're in the chat room, you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, however, let me know. Give us a shout out as to where you are. If you are commenting on my personal page, I am not able to see your comments here on StreamYard due to the privacy settings. But the first thing we're going to look at is a payment card. A cash card is an electronic payment card that stores cash for various types of payments. Cash cards may include bank debit cards, prepaid debit cards, gift cards, and payroll cards. But they do not include credit cards, since credit cards are a form of debt rather than cash. Want to give a shout out to Luis Noriega. Thank you. A debit card. What is it? It is a card issued by a bank allowing the holder to transfer money electronically to another bank account when making a purchase. A prepaid debit card is much like a gift card. It allows you to spend whatever amount of money is stored on the card. Once the balance is used up, you can reload the card online or at an ATM, a participating store, or other physical location. Credit cards. A small plastic card issued by a bank, business, etc., allowing the holder to purchase goods or services on credit. I chuckled because I thought about my Amazon card. I don't use an Amazon card, but I have a credit card account with Amazon, but they just sent me a new card, so go figure. That's why I chuckled. Cash cards is an electronic payment card that stores cash for various types of payments. Oh, goodness. Did I repeat this one? I believe I did. That may include bank debit cards, prepaid debit cards, gift cards, and payroll cards. I'm so sorry. Definition of gift cards. A card or token that can be exchanged for a specified cash value of goods or services from a particular business, given as a gift. Remember those old gift cards we used to get, or even checks that we used to purchase and we give them out as gifts? Well, that's what these have been. These have replaced those. They're sometimes called cash cards. They're usually non-reloadable. They once the funds are used, the card usually is no good. And some have a service fee or charge to activate. If you've been into a local drugstore or larger department store, you see the cards listed at the registers. And if you purchase them, often they have them for $3.95. They're in $25, $50, $100 increments or whatever. Now, if you're buying stuff, each and every time you use a payment card, make a purchase, charge your dues, magazines, games, recurring charges, all of them, you take a risk by exposing your card number to the world. Eric Rosenberg said at this article at Business Insider, credit cards offer additional purchase and fraud protections that debit cards do not. Aside from fraud protection, if you choose the right card and pay it off in full every month, you can use a credit card for free and even get paid through rewards. I myself use my Discover card and my American Express card for such things. I don't use my Bank of America debit card because it's a debit card. But I go to town on those cards that give me points, especially my American Express card. I love that card. Once it gets to $25, I get it. Now, the Discover card will pay you whatever it is monthly, which is not bad. And sure enough, cards like the American Express Gold Card and Chase Freedom Card offer zero liability in the case of fraud, plus purchase protection. And this stuff we're going to get to in a little bit. Eric Rosenberg. Oh, oops. Rosenberg. Oops. If your card number is stolen, it can be used for online or in-person purchases. I myself have had credit card numbers compromised a couple of times, and it seems to be a semi-regular occurrence for other people I know. Yes, I myself have had this happen. While it's inconvenience, it's not a huge deal. Now, debit card fraud has the potential to be much more inconvenient and more costly. According to the Federal Trade Commission, you could lose all of your money in your accounts if you don't notice the fraud within 60 days of the time your bank statement is put in the mail. People who use an online money management app should notice problems well before then. Diners cards. Yes, Lewis. Yes, I agree. And I'll get to that in a little bit. From the point you report a debit card is stolen, you're not liable for any charges. If you report the loss within 2 business days, your losses are limited to $50. If you report the loss between 2 and 60 days after the fraud takes place, your liability is limited to $500. That's law. Now, I'm not going to talk about California law right now because there's a subtle difference and maybe a little bit more on protection, but that is my opinion right now, not commenting on California law. But continue with this. Even if losses are covered by your bank, it can take months to get your funds restored. That could be long enough for you to miss an important rent, mortgage or insurance payments. If you don't have a separate account with enough savings, I don't know about you, but I don't want to be liable for a dollar of fraud. And I agree. I myself have had to deal with this. Now, in a HuffPost article, which you'll see linked right here, the dangers of debit card fraud. It doesn't matter if you're shopping in a physical store or online using an EMV point of sale, that's the electromagnetic one, or the older mag stripe readers, which are pretty much almost all gone. As a matter of fact, Jedi.Tax had to upgrade. We have an EMV at here in the office, and I'm liable for any credit card fraud if there's fraud for anyone that still uses a mag or stripe card. Mag is magnetized. So I upgraded so that I don't have to worry about fraud being a retailer. When you use a debit card, you are more exposed to financial loss than you are with a credit card, said Jason Glasper, co-founder of Casaba Security, a company that major retailers, financials, and other Fortune 500s have hired to conduct hacking tests and security reviews. The definition of fraud is as such. Protection for credit card purchases is much better. According to federal law, the most any credit card holder will be liable for in the event of fraudulent purchases is $50. On the other hand, you must notify your bank of a compromised debit card within 2 business days to limit your liability to $50. If you notify the bank after 2 days but before 60 days, as I mentioned this before, you could be liable for up to $500 in fraudulent charges. Now, that is as per the industry. Other banks do not do that, and you have to inquire with each bank. You've got to read all the little legal stuff. And if you don't realize there's a problem until much later, you could be liable for all the charges that occurred up to the date you informed your bank of the issue. When fraud hits a credit card, you have a buffer zone between the fraud and your cash. Jason Glasper, co-founder of Casaba Security. As I mentioned, if they access your debit card, which is almost intricately and 100% linked to a credit card, to a bank checking account, they could conceivably take all your money. And it can happen fast. I went to a gas station on the corner of Norwalk and Slauson, I believe, and it happened. I thought I checked the machine. I put the card in, and within an hour, I was getting fraud alerts. That's crazy. It was my fault. It was on the far side of the gas station, the furthest away from the cameras and stuff. They move fast. I didn't have to pay for anything because I was using my Bank of America card, but the point is, it happens fast, all within an hour. And if these little SOBs were much better at it, they could have conceivably cleaned out my account. In the HuffPost article, it says, when you pay with a debit card, the cash is withdrawn directly from your bank account. If a hacker or a thief gets a hold of your card number and goes on a shopping spree, the banks will probably cover your losses eventually, but it will take them days, maybe even weeks to process the case and refund your account. Folks, you've heard the stories. I know the stories. They've happened. They do. I was fortunate because of Bank of America at the time. I have had 3 cases of fraud in 20 years, and I was made whole in all of them. That delay can be painful for a customer if you don't have enough money left in their account, if they don't have money left in their account to pay bills. When fraud hits a credit card, you have a buffer zone between the fraud and your cash. That said, it might not be realistic for everyone to spend exclusively on a credit card or with cash. Folks, I have Capital One, I have American Express, Discover. If I send a payment to Discover today at 8:14 p.m. on Sunday, I will have the money credited to my account by 12:01 a.m. on Tuesday. That could be an eternity if you need the money right away. American Express allows me to make 5 payments a day, and it's credited instantly. I love my American Express card. That's why I never leave home without it. So if I buy something and I want to pay it off, well, it's going to take 2 or 3 days for it to process, but I have a make payment button. I pay it right away. So my American Express card is basically my debit card. It's not accepted everywhere, and nor is my Discover. But then I have a credit union account, which I use, but I don't want to, you know, see how it would be. My brother says it took 30 days to get your money back. Now there it is. See, my brother had a situation where it happened to him. That is crazy. It's just unreal. Let me take myself out so you could see the final paragraph that was on this one. Michael, are you able to see the items now? Please let me know. I'm back. Risky places to avoid with the debit card. And sure enough, I laughed when I saw that. Gas stations. Yep. They're not, look, they're risky, period. Because when you insert your card, as I understand it, what these thieves do is they can put an item just on the outside so it looks like you're putting it in and there's nothing there. So when you pull the card out, it reads it. Restaurants and bars, there are dirty people or criminal people that will get your information. They have it all. They have your card number. They can take an image of it on their phone. They can do the backside, and they can also get your CVV, which is the security code on there. Non-bank and outdoor ATMs. It's not that the non-bank and outdoor ATMs are bad. It's what people will do. They have pinhole cameras that can get the images. They can have a camera perfectly placed so it can read everything, whether it be your PIN code, the number, whatever. They are creative. They know how to do it. Self-checkout kiosks as well, kind of like the non-bank and outdoor ATMs. No one is observing it, and no one knows if these fraudsters have inserted something into the card receptacle, and they just come by, pretend they're going to purchase something, and take it out, and they have their information for however many customers. And when you go online as well. And we're going to be talking about that shortly. At gas stations. Yes, I was ripped off at a gas station. Gas stations are a notorious hunting ground for credit card skimmers. Skimming is when someone attaches a device to an otherwise legitimate credit card reader that captures all your information when you swipe your card. That data is stored in the device or transmitted to the criminal, who can then use the information to make purchases online or even transfer the data to a counterfeit card. Remember, they don't need your card. They need the number, they need the expiration date, and the CVV. And they don't always need the CVV. It depends on the security of the place where you're going to go. And they can duplicate the cards within minutes. According to Glassberg, who we mentioned earlier, even though the financial industry has pushed for the switch from regular swiping to chip and pin transactions, criminals have figured out a way to overcome this by using shimmers instead of skimmers to steal the card's details. A shimmer is a paper-thin chip that is inserted inside of the card reader slot where it can steal information with the smart chip. Ha! Go figure. Late last year, the U.S. Secret Service began cracking down on gas station card skimmers and shimmers. According to one special agent, it's estimated that 20 to 30 skimming devices are recovered every week, and each one holds information from about 80 cards. So to protect your bank accounts, it's a good idea to pay with a credit card instead of a debit card at the pump. It's not my opinion, but I agree. Restaurants and bars. When the bill comes at you from your favorite restaurant or watering hole, paying with a card means allowing it to leave your site for several minutes. Now, this doesn't always happen because some restaurants do have it where you are able to pay at the table or you pay as you exit. Allowing it to leave your site for several minutes while the server runs it over to the register. Of course, most service industry workers are honest, and they are hardworking people, but there are bound to be a few dishonest folks who use this as an opportunity to jot down your card information or swipe it through a handheld reader. Yep. Plus, there's always a chance that the establishment's point of sale system gets hacked by an outsider. Boy, do we hear about that all the time. Glassberg suggested that patrons consider the overall condition of a restaurant or bar before pulling out a card to pay. Does it look well managed, or does it seem disorganized and messy? Disorganized venues are less likely to keep card readers updated or to follow other basic security measures. Thank you, Tony, for the like. Paying with a credit card instead of a debit card in this case doesn't eliminate these risks, but it does mean you're better protected if your card information is stolen. The third location, non-bank and outdoor ATMs. Most banks have decent security in and around branches. At the very least, they're under video surveillance 24/7. And many bank branches require customers to swipe their debit cards to gain access to the branch after hours as an added level of security. Get this. I'm able to use my phone to access my ATM and not use my card. Go figure. But plenty of ATMs can be found outside of branches, and many more are nowhere near banks at all. From grocery stores to bars to salons and liquor stores. Thousands of freestanding ATMs can be found in areas that are less likely to be monitored, making it easier to tamper with them. A FICO card alert service, which monitors hundreds of thousands of ATMs across the U.S., noticed a huge spike in ATM skimming between 2014 and 2015. In fact, instances of ATM skimming rose a whopping 546% that year. Criminals also use pinhole cameras, as I mentioned earlier, to record card numbers and pins without actually hacking the card reader ATM. So if you need to withdraw cash, plan ahead and use a secure ATM at your bank rather than a freestanding machine that could have been compromised. And yes, my brother, both figuratively and literally, I do believe it is safer inside of a gasoline station. Self-checkout kiosks. Like gas stations and ATMs, self-checkout kiosks are another place where the card reader can easily be tampered with. Examples include parking lot pay stations, public transportation ticket machines, and self-checkout lanes at grocery stores. When I went to San Diego this past summer to catch the San Diego game, and on another day trip, I used a parking lot machine. That was a risk, but I believe I did use my credit card. These kiosks are often located in areas that aren't supervised, providing the perfect opportunity for scammers to install fraudulent card readers. Before you swipe your card at any one of these self-service stations, check for loose or odd-looking parts that could indicate a skimmer was placed over the original card reader. Should have had a video for that, and I'm sorry. And when you go online, the internet might make it easier to find and buy just about anything you could ever want. Thank you, Amazon Prime. But it also presents many more ways for your card information to be stolen. Saving your card information on your browser. Ugh. Anyway, I won't get into that. Cyber criminals can hack the retailer's website directly or hack the third-party service it uses to process online transactions to capture your card information. Glassberg noted that one new attack he's seen more of is form jacking, in which the criminal uses malicious code to steal your information right out of the online shopping cart fields before you even had a chance to click send. Wow. Raul Lamelli, a registered tax return preparer, says, don't use debit cards, especially with people not wanting to return to work. They will most likely find ways to get your money. I love that quote. And from HuffPost, though it's not possible to protect yourself 100% against online shopping fraud, using a credit card can help mitigate the risks. It's also a good idea to only shop on sites that have an HTTPS in the URL. The S indicates it's a secured site. To avoid using public Wi-Fi and to install antivirus software on your computer. These are the pros of using credit cards. You need to authorize Facebook StreamYard so we can see your comment, or at least identify yourself, user. I don't know who it is, but thank you. Hey. Build credit history. Warranty and purchase protections. Fraud protections. Other advantages: disputability due to Fair Credit Billing Act, otherwise known as FCBA. Credit card holder not responsible for disputed charges. And when renting a car, many credit card issuers provide waivers for collisions. We can get into that in a little bit later about renting cars. I will talk about my own rental experiences to explain some of that stuff to you. That'll be another day. Cons of using credit cards. Spending can lead to debt. Let's be real. It can. And that's the biggest thing. If you are not able to control your spending, ugh. It also, another con is credit score impacts and interest and fees. If you're late, it can affect your score and put you in a whole host of a world of hurt. Interest and fees. If you're carrying debt, which I'm against, you end up paying. Now, if you have a card that is going to give you interest free for 2 years, use that instrument. Oh, you can. But pay it off. It's just free money. It's the loaning of money. If someone will loan you money for free, are you kidding me? The pros of using debit cards. Obviously, you avoid debt. There are fraud protections, but not as many for credit cards. And often there are no annual fees. I love my Discover. I love my American Express because there are no fees on those. I have actually none of my Capital Ones have annual fees as well. There's one that has an annual fee, and I'm probably going to be getting rid of it, but it's one of my older cards right now. So that can affect my credit rating as well. And we'll talk about credit ratings again in the future. I won't do it in December. I won't do it anytime soon. It'll most likely be next year. The cons of using debit cards. Well, it's not always the case. Depends on the bank, credit union, or whatever. But usually there are no rewards. And you won't build your credit. And there are fees. Yep, ATM fees. My brother, Luis, and I went down to Mexico for a trip to fix a car. I don't know why we went in 1988. And we stopped at the Carl's Jr. somewhere south of Oceanside, north of Carlsbad. Walked into Carl's Jr., and I bet my brother remembers this. We broke from the trip to get a meal, and they were accepting ATM cards for 10 cents. We thought it was awesome. We used it, and it was great. But if you use a debit card, often they're going to charge you. Arco gasoline station on the West Coast will charge you 35 cents to use your ATM card. Restaurants will charge you a certain amount if it's an ATM card or debit card. So the fees can eat you alive. Oh, these are internet and social media connections. Jedi.Tax. And if you're probably watching it right now on Facebook.com/Jedi.Tax. Of course, if we don't have a direct one, we have NDB Media, but that's something else. You can find us on YouTube by searching Jedi.Tax. And on Instagram, it is Instagram.com/Jedi.Tax. Okay, you see some of the initials that are behind my titles. CRTP. If you want to know what a CRTP is, you can go to the California Tax Education Council, which is ctec.org. And then you can click on this link as well. What is a CRTP? I use those initials. A CRTP is all CTEC registered tax preparers, or CRTPs, must complete 60 hours, 45 hours federal and 50 hours state, of qualifying tax education from a CTEC approved provider. Pass a background check and live scan. Obtain a PTIN, which is a preparer tax identification from the IRS. Purchase a $5,000 bond. Register with CTEC within 18 months of the completion date on the certificate of completion. And pay a registration fee with CTEC of $33. To renew, all CRTPs must complete 20 hours, 10 hours federal law, 3 hours federal tax update, 2 hours of ethics, and 2 hours of state. Most of my clients kind of give me a hard time and laugh when it comes to ethics. I just said that as a joke. We have to maintain a valid P10 from the IRS. So you have to be up with all of your tax obligations. Otherwise, you cannot be or hold these designations. You have to maintain a $5,000 tax preparer bond, renew your registration by October 31st. I have, and the renewal registration is 33. So a CRTP means California Tax Education Council registered tax preparer in California. So I am also an RTRP because I have an IRS designation, which is a registered tax return preparer. And once again, the Selena rule. It's not rendering of advice. There is no client relationship here, folks. It's very clear. Speak to a professional. The accuracy of the information is provided as a service to you. You need to verify it, and we keep up-to-date information so you can speak to us about it. But we do not guarantee the reliability. This is an internet program. We are sharing information with you. We have no liability on this. We are not asking you to take any action. We are providing you information. And if there are any links to third-party websites, we are not responsible for them. That is the Selena rule here at Jedi.Tax. This is our debit versus credit November 14th, 2021 program. And my name is Roger D. Noriega. I'm a CRTP. Now you know what that means. And an RTRP. And I'm going to be adding N period P period very soon, within the next 2 to 3 months. I have 34 years of experience in financial planning, and our website is www.Jedi.Tax. And that pretty much concludes this one today, folks. I hope I provided a lot of information for you, and it is of use to you. If you would like a copy of the PowerPoint presentation, let me know, and I'll be more than happy to send it over to you. It's just a PowerPoint presentation, but it does have some important links. But I do want to thank you. And, I like how this one turned out. I was really surprised. I hadn't used a PowerPoint. I should have used it before, but this is it. Thank you, Michael. Folks, I appreciate likes on our Facebook page. I also appreciate likes and follows, subscribe on our YouTube, on our Twitch. Oh, I didn't put the Twitch TV, but we're Jedi.Tax on Twitch TV. So, and we have several others. So if you don't mind, we really do need the subscriptions and the likes. It means a great deal to us. But again, I do want to thank you. If you have any suggestions on any material that you would like us to cover, let us know. Drop the comment in here, and we will be able to get to it. We have 2 more programs scheduled for this year. We do this monthly, and obviously during tax season, I will do it monthly as well. But I expect to do 2 more programs before the year is out. So if you have any questions, please let us know. And I do appreciate the likes. Mr. Simmons, thank you. And folks, hopefully this was helpful, and we'll see. And it's almost 8:30. I have to go back to work tomorrow. I haven't been at work for 2 weeks. I have to go back. Yes, I know I have a job, and I have a great job, but I haven't been there for 2 weeks. So anyway, folks, this is Rogelio Noriega. The recording, the video will be available for you. If you have any questions, go ahead and comment. And we'll see you guys on the other side. As always, peace always. And just remember, debit cards, there are pros and cons. But when it comes to taking care of your money, I do recommend credit cards. And one thing I did not mention, and I do apologize. Thank you, Jay. Hey, Jay. One of the, hey, you might want to look for debit cards. I'm not going to do that. Are you kidding me? I've already had issues with debit cards. But if you have a trouble or if you have trouble getting a credit card, folks, Discover, Capital One, they'll help you get a credit card. It's what is, and Bank of America will, and I imagine other banks, I believe Wells Fargo will. And a secured card is, okay, you don't qualify, they're not going to risk it, but they're going to send you a secured card if you send them a deposit. So if you, Capital One will sometimes require $200 or $300. I'm sorry, will require $100 deposit, but they'll give you $200 or $300. And after 6 months, 9 months, whatever, if you pay everything well, they'll either credit your account or send you the money back. And that way you'll be able to get a credit card. And folks, if you use those credit cards and you have the online apps, you issue a payment to them, it's credited almost instantly. So credit cards can effectively become debit cards with just a tiny bit of planning. That I did not have on this, and I should have, and I do apologize. But folks, it is there. So I'm not sure who the ha was, but like I say, you have to authorize StreamYard permission to comment. But folks, I thank you, and please leave your comments here as well. And this is going to be it. This is Jedi.Tax Online. Again, we'll see you guys on the other side. Peace!